Welcome to the beautiful Silverado Resort and Spa. We are so excited to welcome you, whether you are contemplating contracting with us or have already booked your wedding. We are very excited to show you around our property. Our first stop will be here on the right hand side, our lovely market. It is open every day. We have breakfast, coffee, tea, sandwiches, and pastries from both Model Bakery and Bouchon. You can see in the distance there is our lovely pizza oven, which is open every day through the summer, and they make some fantastic pizzas. And then as we keep moving along here, you can see some of our tennis courts, which are available to reserve during your stay. And then you cannot see it, but our main pool is on the other side of those tennis courts there. So right now we are doing a remote check-in, a contactless check-in. So as you arrive for your stay, you would pull up here and greet our lovely front desk staff. Hello. And then make your way to your room or into the mansion, as we will do. So here you go. And this is the Silverado mansion. We are going to go ahead into the mansion right now. We have our lovely front desk staff, Carrie and Danny and Belle, to welcome us in. And then here we go. So if you didn't do contactless check-in, we do have our front desk check-in still open. We do have plexiglass, which you can't currently see, to protect everyone. And then our concierge on the other side here. And then we're gonna go ahead into the main lobby. This is our lobby bar here, which opens at 3 p.m. each day, I believe. And then our recently renovated terrace space. This space is a semi-private space for in the mornings, but it is open to all hotel guests in the evening. And you can see these windows here do actually open all the way, so it is both an indoor and outdoor space that we are so glad to have here. You can see it looks absolutely phenomenal. So we're going to move away from the terrace and go into Vintner's Court, which we like to use as dinner and dancing space and as an after party space, since we aren't able to go past 10 p.m. in the Grove. A lot of our couples will like to have an after party, and this is where we have it. It's currently set up in a hollow square, as you can see right now, but this is an amazing space. We can set up a dance floor in here. If you are having your dinner and dancing in here, I love to suggest putting a long head table in that nook right there. It gives great background for all of your shots, and then all of your guests can see you as the focal point. I also suggest putting your bar in that little nook there for the same reason as always. It doesn't take away a lot of space from the rest of the space and makes the bar easily accessible. The other really nice feature about this room is this existing credenza. It can be used as your cake spot, it can be used for your dessert station, or you can just put like coffee and tea there. If you are having an after party, it's also a great spot for any late night bites that you have. Again, not taking away table space in the rest of this space. The last thing I will mention about Vintner's Court is it does have a door directly to the terrace there. So if you are here any time of day, it's a nice little option for your guests to make their way outside and enjoy the lovely sunshine and the beautiful terrace. This is our south course that you are looking out on, and in the distance there you can't really see is the Grove. So that is Vintner's Court. We are going to make our way from Vintner's Court now over to one of our other rooms called Royal Oak. Through the lobby, the mansion lobby, you can see our lovely fireplace here. Again, the terrace there. So Royal Oak is, it's one of our slightly smaller rooms, but as you can see, it does have beautiful golf course views. I'll make my way down the stairs. This room is actually currently set up from a social distancing tasting that we did. We had a sample table there and then separated all of our couples and our team here. So this room is fantastic for rehearsal dinners. We've actually had wedding dinner and dancing and put a dance floor in here for a smaller wedding. Lunches, brunches, just your traditional dinner. It is really a beautiful, versatile space, and you can see here there are beautiful views of the golf course all along the room. It does have this room, which we call Christian Brothers, attached to it. When we've had groups that maybe we're wanting a bar or a buffet, we can utilize this space so that the bar or buffet is in that space, and then keep the room available for tables, dancing, or any other entertainment that we have. The two shutters there are closed because it is quite bright in here right now for the video, but that is the terrace, and there is a door directly to the terrace, so your guests could go out that way if they did want to. And this is Royal Oak. We have just left the beautiful Royal Oak and are going to make our way now to Fairway Deck. A couple things to point out along this walkway. These are the closest restrooms for both spaces that you see here. There are another set of restrooms over by Vintner's Court. And then as we walk, these are the first set of doors from this path to enter into Fairway Deck, but we're going to walk along the main pathway, as well as showcase this could be a beautiful bridal entry walk where your guests can get a view of you as you walk before you enter through these double doors here. Again, before we enter the space, Fairway Deck, this is another entryway from the side of the mansion. That is the ballroom there, which we will see next. So, beautiful Fairway Deck. This is a very versatile space that is an indoor-outdoor space. We have used it for ceremonies, for cocktail hour, for all kinds of dinners. You get beautiful golf course views. Of course, as you can see, we do have these air walls that open up. We leave them open through the summer, and then of course close them as the weather starts to cool down. So this view that you're seeing here is one of two options for ceremony, where bride and groom are placed in the center of that space there. We can provide wine barrels as your altar, or you can bring an altar in, and then we would set ceremony chairs coming out toward me. The second space for ceremony would have bride and groom centered in this nook here, with the golf course as their backdrop, and then again ceremony chairs coming out this way. And then you can see that door there. Those can be open or closed, and that does lead us back into Royal Oak, which you can see. And then this gives you an opposite view of this space. So that was the hallway which I walked along to enter. That is a great bridal entrance if you are using this space for your ceremony. And then this room does go out that way. So if you were to have your ceremony in this space, we could actually then transition directly into cocktail hour. You can see one of our plank and barrel stations here, but that is actually where I would recommend putting your bar, one of the stave bars that we will see in the Arbor. It's a great spot because there is a natural little nook there. It's a fantastic spot to use without it taking away from the rest of the space. Another way that we use this space for larger groups is to have buffet tables lined here for guests that are actually dining in the ballroom, to kind of keep that space open. Of course, we are limiting buffet stations right now just for health and safety, but whoever your sales or service manager can talk to you more about what options we have developed there. And this is Fairway Deck. Oh, before we go, there are doors here that you can see that will lead directly into the ballroom, and there are curtains that we can close. So if you have your ceremony, say in Fairway Deck or on Mansion Garden, you do cocktail hour here on Fairway Deck, and then we're going to go into the ballroom for dinner, and you want a grand reveal, we can make sure that those doors are closed, and the curtains are pulled so that no one can see in, and then when it's time to invite guests in, you get that grand reveal. They can see all of your beautiful decor, your DJ can start playing, all of that good stuff. So that is Fairway Deck. As we leave Fairway Deck, we're going to go into our ballroom here. It is currently split out between the east and the west side, but you will still be able to see the entire space. So here we have the east side of the ballroom, which does open up onto Fairway Deck. You can see the French doors there. And then it's currently set up in a large hollow square, but of course we would have both sides open and have your dance floor and all of your tables there. We are able to change the light setting so we can have just the chandeliers on, or just those smaller lights, whatever works with your uplighting if you have any, and whatever your DJ suggests. So again, this is the air wall, which we would have taken down, but just so that you can see both spaces, this is the west side of the ballroom, which is currently set up kind of classroom style for a display on that screen there. These are our linenless tables with an example. Oh, these are our banquet chairs, and these are the tables during social distancing that we would use with 4 people per table, as you see here. So that would kind of be the setup, and these are also distanced how we have to currently have them distanced 6 feet apart to adhere to all our social distancing requirements. So this is our beautiful ballroom. We have just left the ballroom and we are going to make our way to Mansion Gardens. But first, we are on our way there. We are going to walk across the west deck. I want to show you this space because if you do have your ceremony out on Mansion Garden, this is a beautiful walk for the bride and the entire bridal party to make. So we would stage you in the ballroom, and then we're going to walk out toward the garden this way. This space down below us here is the Arbor, which we will see next. As a note before we keep going, the tent that you see in the distance there is a temporary structure that's up from January to July every year. So we do have events in there during that time, and then it comes down at the very beginning of July and is open. So if you do have Mansion Garden booked, it is included in the whole space there. So we will continue on our bridal entry walk here. I love this walk because, as you can see, there is a beautiful staircase there, and it really showcases you to your guests. We would set up ceremony chairs, of course, starting on that grass away from the stage. And so as you are walking here, your guests can get a beautiful view of you. It keeps your dress and your train flowing really, really nicely, and it really does provide that dramatic entrance for you as the bride. You can choose to go down either the left or the right side of the stairs. I always recommend going down the right side here. It's a little longer, a bit more dramatic, but mostly it actually allows your train a bit more space to really fluff out before you do make your way up onto the stage. And again, your guests can get a view of your gorgeous dress that you have. So you would then make your way up on stage. You don't have to be up on stage, bride and groom. You can be in front, depending on what altar you do choose. This space, like all of our others, is very customizable to you. We do generally start the ceremony chairs at the grass line and go out from there. Just it makes I think kind of the most sense with the way that this is laid out. But this is a view of those stairs for you. So those are also a great spot for family photos or bridal party photos. It really leads to that. On either side of the stage here, you do see our lovely little vineyard. We do fence it when we're not having events. We have a lot of little critters on property that like to eat them up, but we do take the fencing down for your wedding day, so that will not be there for your wedding day, and the vines will be lovely and lush. And then as well, you see some of these pots along the side here. We do plant those because we were closed for a while. We haven't yet done that, but on your wedding day those will be planted and be blooming. Mansion Garden is not just a ceremony venue. We can do any meal out here. We can do cocktail hour here, where we have a bar mitzvah out here. So it is, of course, a very lovely large space that we can use however you like. And then again, the tent is there from January until July. So you can also use that space if it is up. When it is not up, you can also use it to have tables or games or anything that you like. And so this is Mansion Garden. So we are going to make our way to the Arbor, which is right next to Mansion Garden. The Arbor is a fantastic brunch spot, cocktail hour spot. It does have a great flow from Mansion Garden, so if you did want to utilize both spaces, say one for cocktail hour, one for dinner, that would be fantastic. It is currently being set up by our team right now, so you can kind of see some of the options. This is going to be a reception for about 20 people later this evening. We do have some of these tents available. We do have a limited number of them, so if you did want to use them for an event, please let us know in advance so we can make sure to reserve them for you. As you can see, we are using our wine barrels as some cocktail tables in the space, and then this is a really good example. These are our white padded chairs that we use for all of our outdoor event spaces. So in the Grove, Mansion Garden, in the Arbor, and on Fairway Deck as well, we use these white padded chairs. Another thing that I do want to point out here is our amazing stave bar. We have 3 of these on property, and we do use them for the majority of our outdoor events. So our bartenders set up some of the drinks and any signage that you have on top here, and then of course guests walk up and receive their beverages. The other thing that I like to point out in the Arbor here is this beautiful green wall that we have that surrounds the space. It does make for lovely photos if you would like to take photos here, and just great atmosphere for your event in the space. We also have there is some shaded spot underneath that west deck that we walked across just a moment ago for bridal entrance, and then there are bathrooms inside those double doors that you see there. One last point I would like to bring up before we leave the Arbor is we do have the walkway does wrap around beautifully here. We'll go ahead and walk up that, but it is lovely for bridal party photos as well if you did want to take that route. And this ramp is nice if you do have anyone a little bit older in the group that doesn't want to walk downstairs. It's a bit of a longer walk, but it's not a very steep incline and makes it easy to get down into this space. There is a set of stairs behind that brick wall that you see there if you wanted a little bit of a faster route down into the Arbor. But again, if you line your bridal party, we've actually had an entire wedding line up along this archway here and take some really beautiful photos, so I always like to point that out. And then we will get a great view of the Arbor from this angle. It is a little difficult to see with the tents there, but this is a beautiful, versatile space that we like to use, and it is great in the morning because it isn't quite in direct sunlight yet. So if you were thinking about having a brunch spot, this is a lovely venue. And it's easy for your guests to get to. We are once again here in front of the mansion, just behind our contactless check-in, and then the entrance to the ballroom and Fairway Deck is just through those doors. Here we are in front of the mansion once again, and we're now going to head out to the Grove. This will be the drive that we take your guests on. So you'll see this green space here is where we set up the shuttle station. We will have a sign notifying your guests that it is the shuttle station, as well as water and a tent for them in case it is hot. You see the pro shop as we're passing. If you are golfing with us during your stay, that is where you would rent any golf equipment. And then this is the grill, our restaurant on property. And then ahead of us here is the golf check-in, and of course some of our golf carts for you to use while you're on the course. Again, this is the route that we will be shuttling your guests to get out to the Grove on your wedding day. You see the north course ahead of us here, which is our PGA course. The Safeway Tour takes place every year in September or October. And then we are now making our way onto the south course. This is a great drive for your guests to really showcase the property and see your lovely venue. So we are now on the south course. You will see this bridge that we are going across here. It's actually called Champs Bridge. And then I don't know how well you can see, there is another bridge across the way there. I point that out. It's a really, really lovely spot for photos, especially first look photos. There's another shot of that bridge there that I always love to point out with the trees around there. If you are doing a first look, it is a really beautiful spot to do that, and the bridge obviously makes it very conducive to have that intimate first look for you. This again is our south course. You can see some golfers out there right now. And we are approaching the Grove. You can begin to see that space there. So this again is the route that we will take your guests on. These are the bathrooms for the Grove. They are permanent structure that we service throughout the year, whether there are weddings happening or not. And then here we are at the Grove. So this is where we will drop your guests off. We would set up a welcome table and another water station for your guests, and then we will make our way out to the ceremony spaces. Here we are in the outside Grove, and we are first going to talk about our 3 ceremony site options. We have the first arch, the pergola, and then the far arch. So the first arch is these 2 trees that you see here that make this little arch, adequately named the first arch. This is a great space for slightly smaller weddings. We build out the ceremony chairs in whatever shape you prefer in the grass area in front of that. We do have wine barrels that we can use at the beginning of the aisle or to mark where bride and groom will stand for any of these spaces. So that is the first arch, and then we will walk over to, you can see the pergola there in the distance as we get closer. This pergola is a beautiful space to kind of enhance if you like. It takes greenery quite well, and you don't have to do a lot to make it really stand out. If you do go for this as your ceremony site, we like to drop bride off. You can't really see, but there is a pathway there. We can drive a car or a golf cart to that spot so that your grand entrance is there, and then we would set up the aisle, of course, down the middle so that you're walking directly through to the altar. And this is the pergola. So you could be on the stage and have chairs starting on the cement and built out, or you could not use the stage and start your guest chairs at the grass line here and move out that way. But again, this is a beautiful space that you can enhance however you like, with greenery and floral, and it really is just beautiful. So then the final space, the far arch or the tunnel of trees, you can see here that tunnel that we're entering there, and we would set up bride and groom. Really, we can do it wherever you like, but we like to do it right in this space in those 2 trees there, and then again build the ceremony chairs out this way. This is a great space if you do have a larger wedding, because we are able to use all of this space to fill it in, and it can still feel quite intimate because we can make your ceremony chair rows longer longer width-wise instead of lengthwise, so that guests can hear you without you having to be mic'd, if you want to or not. You of course know that we are surrounded by the golf course, so we do have a golf marshal for the day of your wedding to kind of make sure that no golfers are teeing off anywhere that would be potentially dangerous for any of the guests. And we do move our tees and coordinate with our golf team to try to keep golfers from being at the nearby holes during the time of your ceremony. One other thing I do want to mention before we start talking about cocktail hour is this little bridge that we have here. You can see the bathrooms are there behind it. This is also a beautiful bridal entrance and bridesmaids entrance that a lot of couples like to use, whether you're using the pergola as your ceremony site or the far arches as your ceremony site. You we can stage both bride and bridesmaids by the bathroom so that you're not visible, and then you can make your walk there. If you're really looking for that wow grand entrance long walk, that is definitely a beautiful way to go, and it does also make for beautiful photos. Of course, if you didn't want to walk that far, you can still take family photos there both before and after the ceremony. It is just a really beautiful spot. So now we will start talking about cocktail hour. If you have used the Far Arch for your ceremony site, you have two options for cocktail hour. The first, of course, is the pergola. We can put the bar on the stage or just on that concrete path there. And of course, right now we would have stationed appetizers instead of past appetizers, so we could put one or two of those stations there so guests can come directly from the ceremony site to this space. And then we can also use, if you did go that route, this open space for cocktail tables and highboys. If you wanted to have any sort of games or some other kind of entertainment during your cocktail reception, we can utilize this space as you like. If you didn't want to use the pergola, which is actually a popular option for a lot of our couples that use the Far Arch, they don't do anything with the pergola. They leave it as is, and they use sort of this more shaded area that is the first arch space as their cocktail hour. So in this space, we are able to put our bars on the grass. The only requirement from our bartenders is that they get a flat space. So I can show you where those two spaces that they really like to place the bars are. Here in front of us on this side of these trees. In this space here, it is a flat enough area for the bar to go, so it would be facing the ceremony site, so your guests can walk directly from your ceremony to get their first drink. The other spot would be on the other side of this tree. We would place it in front of that patch there, kind of in this area, and the bar would face out toward the inside grove. It's a very popular space. It allows for more flow through this entire space. And then again, we would set your cocktail tables and short rounds throughout the rest of this green shaded area to really have your guests be spread throughout and utilize the space as best as possible. As I mentioned earlier, we do have cocktail tables that we can put linens on, or we can also use our wine barrels as cocktail tables instead, which for the space it really adds another wood textured element and does work well since we are in beautiful Napa Valley. Those are cocktail space options. This is the entrance to the inside grove where we host dinner and dancing after your cocktail reception. We do have a partition that blocks this entryway. So when we drop your guests off before the beginning of the ceremony, there is a wooden partition that we leave here so that we have a grand reveal when they are coming inside for dinner. So we will make our way inside here. And so this is generally where we like to place the bar. It's a good nook that doesn't take away from the rest of the space. And you can see this is the dance floor and the existing stage there. And then the back side of the space. And that's the entrance again. So you can see this is a really, really beautiful space. It does work well for groups of all sizes. So we've done weddings of up to 250 in this space, or as little as 50. And because of the shape of it and the way that we can position tables, regardless of your size, it doesn't feel too big or necessarily too small. So we do have this existing little garden here in the middle. So generally I like to place all of the tables for dinner on this side of that space. It is a nice kind of cutoff for the space and keeps all of your guests feeling included. Whereas if you were to put a table on the other side, they do feel a little bit removed. But that also allows for us to move that welcome table with your cards and gifts inside. So if somebody held on to a card or brought a gift from down below, then they can bring it in there.
Wonderful.
That also allows for us to move your welcome table inside after cocktail hour, so with your cards and any gifts that guests bring, so it is in that inside space in case anybody runs back to their room or just held onto the card through the ceremony. Again, this is where this space is great for the bar. It makes it quite accessible. If there shouldn't be any line, but if there was, it's not interfering with any tables and it's not taking away from other space that you might use for something else. This side space is also a great area for a photo booth or any other sort of extra entertainment that you might have. And then another space that I also recommend for a photo booth, depending on how large your group is this secondary kind of nook on the opposite side. Again, like, we can place tables over here depending on how large your group is. Otherwise, it's a nice space to kind of leave open and use for some other decor or entertainment options. So the last thing I'm gonna do in this space here, we do have our prep kitchen behind this fence that you'll see. So all of your food does come hot from that kitchen there. And we can place your cake table on the side of the dance floor so that you are front and center for your cake cutting. This is another great view of the space. And from here on the stage, you can see some of these market lights that we have throughout the space here. They provide a wonderful romantic light, so you don't have to bring in additional lighting for your guests. The market lights are actually bright enough so that everyone can see their plate, but not so bright that it's kind of daylight on once the sun does go down. And we do have some, you can see spotlights up here facing toward the stage for your DJ or band, so that they are able to perform with an adequate amount of light. Of course, you can bring in additional lighting, uplighting, or anything that you would like to enhance the space, but it isn't necessary because we do have those existing market lights. We do have power throughout this space, so we've had, I think we've had up to a 12-piece band up on that stage, and we're able to power all of their equipment as needed. We do have power, as you can see, in different spaces throughout the grove if you did want to include other lighting or needed power for some other reason. And so this is the inside grove.